Dr. Juang, head of the Acoustics and Speech Research Department at Bell Labs. He has a department of, I think, more than 30 people doing research in all aspects of multimedia communication systems. And he himself is an expert on speech coding, speech recognition, and so on. He's published extensively, holds many patents, and I'm sure most of you in this room have studied from his book with Larry Rabiner, the book about speech recognition. I don't think he needs a much longer introduction, so I won't make you suffer through it. I'll just say he's a winner of many Signal Processing Society awards for best paper in several years running. And I'll give it to him now to talk about advances and challenges in speech and audio processing for multimedia human machine interfaces.
Thank you. I spent the last maybe 18 years working on speech recognition, but I also, before that I used to work on speech coding, and but at all this time I also put a lot of attention on the communication aspect of the signal processing technology. So I understand that the Professor Jelinek's center is pretty much in the area of speech processing. So I thought maybe I'd take a different approach. So what I want to do today is to share with you some aspect of signal processing that is beyond the speech recognition and understanding part. And I choose to do so because I think it sometimes helps a lot in looking at a broader perspective in terms of your own research and the potential impact that it can create. So I chose the topic advances and challenges in acoustic speech and audio processing for multimedia communication. And again, I hope that you can see that in communication there are a lot of other interesting things going on. First of all, let's look at the arena that we are in terms of the expected impact our research is going to create. This is a general description of, or a depiction of the environment we are in. We are in the era of networking. So we have the telephone network. We have now a lot of the wireless cellular network. We are now moving into optical network, broadband, and so on. And we have also on our desk very powerful processors that can process information millions or billions times a second. So with all the advances in computing, in networking, we now can hook up many different devices like microphone, camera, writing pad, scanner, all kind of equipment to the end point of the networking of the network. And those represent the major interface between human and the network that we want to make use of. So our research is intended to create technology and applications in which we can enjoy better productivity or better quality of life if you want. But anyway, the key message here that I would like to deliver to you is that networking begins with people, as human. And that sort of put a good onset point about the significance of our research, or the goal of our research, meaning to create something to drive the use of the network. Now, today I will talk to you about the area research towards that goal. And that goal, simply put, is intelligent processing of text, audio, visual information to achieve high-quality communication, multiple and enhanced modality with natural human and human machine interface. I will talk about the key research areas more in the along the fundamental technology side rather than application systems, although in industry, the application systems are the main focus. We've been in the basic research unit of the industry. We, of course, are closer to academic environment, and the focus, of course, is more on the fundamental side, fundamental technology. And these include signal acquisition and transduction, coding and compression, recognition, verification, detection, and so on, and synthesis, of course. So let me quickly go through these, and my purpose is to tell you the past advances, what we have been able to achieve, and also what is the next challenge that is ahead of us. In the area of acoustic acquisition and presentation, of course, the purpose is to achieve a high-quality, interference-free pickup of sound, or in the case of camera, high-quality capture of the image. Here I will be talking about more on the acoustics rather than image side. Okay, and also in terms of presentation, we want to present the high-quality sound. And this should be obvious to you. Like loudspeakers, the intention is to present as faithfully the original sound as possible through the transduction process. These days, a pair of loudspeaker can cost you as much as $100,000, and of course, there's a lot of engineering effort behind it. Now, why we are doing this? Why do we need high-quality pickup and presentation? Well, let me give you one motivation here, because I believe many of you are familiar with speech recognition work. Now, in speech recognition or pattern recognition, there is a theoretical limit, and that is the so-called base error, the minimum error. Now, base error relates to the distribution of the data. Now, if the data has itself a lot of contamination, that means that the distribution itself may have so much overlap that the base error is already very high, so it doesn't matter how much you do your research, you just cannot break the error rate limits. So that shows the importance of getting clean data to begin with before you apply your skills in the design of recognizer. So the first step is to get the right data, and the acoustic transducer is aiming at exactly that purpose. So we want to localize the sound both ways, because if you, again, using recognition as an example, suppose you want to recognize the speech coming from a talker situated in that direction. Certainly, you will be better off using a directional microphone that pick up the speech or pick up the sound from that direction rather than the noise from other direction. And that is the first step, sort of a shield or a guarantee for a high quality or high performance recognition. Now, localization also means the other way. Okay, in many applications, you want the sound to be projected to a particular location, and there are applications like a drive-up a window or the ATM machine. Okay, that intend to use a voice interface. You may want to localize the sound so that no other people can hear your interaction with the machine. Okay. And another important challenge in the acoustic transduction is the control of echo. And this is very important because as we move into the area of what we call hands-free communication, most people don't like to wear microphone. I mean, it makes you feel unnatural. So in teleconferencing environment, you hope that the transducer and all the setup allow you to communicate with the other end of the line without having to hold any devices. Then immediately you would see that the echo has to be controlled in order for the communication to continue. The echo problem is most prominent, most acute in, as many people have experienced in the PA environment. If the loudspeaker is not positioned properly, or the microphone is not properly adjusted, then you have the singing effect, and that destroyed the whole communication purpose. There are other mathematical related problems like representation and reconstruction of acoustic field. I'll give you some glimpse of those things as I move along. So in the past, towards this goal, we have designed the following systems. Here you can see this is I think still the largest two-dimensional array in the world. It has more than 400 microphones, and you can see the actual the size relative to the person in front of it. This two-dimensional microphone array has a beam pattern as shown on the right, and this is now mounted on the ceilings of the auditorium in our lab, and it performs two functions. One is what is called speech seeking. It tries to seek the talker. It scans the space in the auditorium, and whoever starts to talk, it homes in and then steer the beam towards the particular talker. All right. We also design three-dimensional steerable microphones of the size of a golf ball, and this is, of course, for many purposes. One of them is surveillance. Now, we also designed these arrays, a microphone and loudspeaker. As I mentioned, for example, loudspeaker array, you can feel the level change as you walk, across the loudspeaker array. And the reason is that the loudspeaker array with proper processing focuses the output, the acoustic output, towards a particular direction. All right. So these are the past work, and right now we are still making extensive use of one of the unique facilities here in the States, even in the world. This is an anechoic chamber. Many years ago it was considered the quietest room on Earth. But these days, there are many, not many, but quite a few of this kind of facility around. Still, we use this facility to study a lot of things. One of them is head-related transfer function, and I'll talk about that in a minute. We also use the facility to study adaptive differential microphone design. We studied microphone array design, as I just mentioned. We also use this to study hands-free automatic speech recognition. Also loudspeaker crosstalk cancellation. Let me quickly go through a couple of these just to give you some idea. Now, in terms of head-related transfer function, the purpose here is to synthesize or to recreate a sound field that is as if it's exists in three dimensions, not just in two dimensions as being presented by loudspeakers in your home. And to achieve that, you need a set of head-related transfer functions. Okay, here mainly you have to measure the transfer function from a sound source to the two ears, and this is a dummy head, okay, that emulates the head with liquid inside, sort of semi-liquid. The set of transfer functions, once you are able to measure the transfer functions accurately, then you can use it in your computer to convolve with the sound source, and then to simulate the direction of the sound source. All right. So this is quite useful in one particular application that we are now developing, and that is the artificial chat room. So you can say put one avatar in one location, and then you synthesize the sound as if it's coming from that direction. And this can have many different directions, all right? That's just the one application. Another application, of course, is to use it for hi-fi playback, okay? And the challenge here, I think we have done a pretty good measurement. We sampled the sound space in the anechoic chamber, and we sampled it. Of course, we cannot sample infinitesimally, fine in a scale. So we only sample, a finite set. And then the question is, how do you decompose and reconstruct and interpolate so that the whole space can be covered? So these are the challenges. And in application, of course, right now, by the way, what we have achieved is that you can do very good job in creating a three-dimensional sound with headphone. But more of a challenge is to play the 3D sound through loudspeaker because of one problem. If you play it through loudspeaker, you would have the crosstalk because in earphone or headset, the left channel will be heard only by left ear. And so with properly measured and interpreted head-related transfer function, you can present the signal in a proper way. But if you present the signal through loudspeaker, the left channel will be heard by both left and right ear, and so now you have to think about ways to cancel that in order for the original head-related transfer function to be useful. And the way to do it is to devise these cancellation circuits, all these the G's, so that the right ear won't hear too much of the sound coming from the left loudspeaker, and left ear won't hear too much of the sound played from the right loudspeaker. Now, of course, mathematics here it's rather simple, but the challenge is that, well, you don't expect the listener to just stand still or sit still there. Okay, the listeners may be moving around, and so you have to adaptively track the listener and know what kind of function to use to interpolate and so to reconstruct. So these are the challenges. Another, I mentioned also in communication world, teleconferencing is very important, and everyone knows that the technology, the speakerphone technology, has been around a long time. However, you may want to know that the speakerphone technology that you are buying on the market, in fact, is a fake. Mostly, it's not a true full duplex speakerphone. The speakerphone that you buy usually is half duplex, meaning that when you talk, your sound may not be, the other side is not guaranteed to hear what you say. And often it's based on the gain of some arbitration on the gain level or the sound level. So you have to talk louder in order to gain the control of the line. Now, people have used also kind of gain switching to mimic the full duplex, meaning that there's some attenuation, some intelligent processing, so that there's some how do you call it? The chopping of the sound would not be so annoying. But still, it's far from full duplex. Now, even though the full duplex technology actually is quite well known, adaptive signal processing has been around for some time. Now, what we did in the past few years was to extend that to stereo. And extending the adaptive signal processing algorithms for acoustic echo cancellation from single channel or mono channel to stereo channel is not as straightforward as you would think. And the reason is that when you move to stereo, the same talker here who speaks, the signal will be picked up by the two microphones and played by the two loudspeakers to this end, all right? Now, in order to conduct cancellation, you need to estimate the echo path properly, the two echo paths from the two loudspeakers to each microphone. So there are 4 of them, and I'll only show 2 here. And this estimation is not as easy as the single channel case. The reason is that there is substantial amount of correlation in the signal from the two channels. And that means that in solving the system equation, the non-uniqueness problem is there. So anyway, we managed to find some good solution by introducing some nonlinearity that mathematically reduces the correlation between the two channels to a level that you can find proper solution, and also to track the talker in case that he or she moves, okay? And while we introduce the nonlinearity, what is also important is that it should not destroy the quality. Otherwise, the original purpose of having a high quality teleconferencing with the right imaging, okay, of the sound source will be destroyed. So there is a thin line to walk between mathematical treatment and perceptual treatment. Now, what is the challenge ahead of us? A challenge ahead of us is, and I had some conversation with some of you an hour ago. One of the challenges that we are looking at is acoustics in automobile. And the challenge, the purpose of doing this kind of research is that we believe the mobility, people like mobility. So people now will be using their communication gears in their cars more often than ever. But it's also very dangerous. So it's not really advisable that people try to do too many things in their car. Here, we try to alleviate that problem by letting the user concentrate on road condition, but in the meantime, we allow the driver to be able to talk, or even the passenger, as if he or she is talking to the passenger, okay? Meaning that the hands, it's a hands busy and eyes busy situation, that the best that you can do is to provide hands-free solutions to the driver. And so proper construction of the microphone apparatus for signal pickup and also playback, all these things become a very big challenge and also worthwhile challenge in our opinion. And of course, this is the car lab that we set up a year ago. We use this to record a lot of data, and here we have about 30 channels of data simultaneously recorded. Some from the 16-element microphone array, some from the closed-talk microphone, some from the GPS data, and so on. So it's a very complete set of data for research purposes. Now, let me, since we don't have much time, let me quickly go through the area of signal coding and compression. Of course, now we are in digital era, and all the signals that we mentioned at the beginning, all the human signals, speech, image, and so on, they have to be transmitted in digital form. And so coding is very important. Coding is to represent the signal in digital form. And the best coder, of course, is one that achieves the highest quality with the smallest amount of bits and with least processing delay and complexity. But it's not always easy to find such. The application of signal coding, of course, is very widespread, ranging from secure voice for speech to digital video HDTV at high end, high bit rate, 20 megabits per second or so. Okay. Now here in our multimedia application, we focus more on network telephony, teleconferencing, and sound entertainment systems. Now, in order to do good coding, the coding of speech and music at this moment is not quite the same. All right, the reason is that speech has some structure, while music has less. But you can also argue that music is more from instrument, and you may have some more physical understanding. But anyway, as it stands now, the coding techniques varies. In view of time, let me just quickly say that the research in the past 15, 20 years or so was able to create speech coding algorithms that operates between 4 and 16 kilobits per second with quality rated as good. Okay, good means that it's enough, sufficient for communication purposes. It's just like the quality that you would expect from a cell phone. And as a matter of fact, those standards that you see there at around 8 kilobits are the standards used in various cell phone systems, digital cell phone systems. Now, one important advance in coding, and that in some sense also may relate to recognition and human-machine interaction, is the application of knowledge in human auditory systems. And in coding, one observation that people make is that since it's the human who listens to the signal rather than the machine, therefore our ability to discern signal should be taken into account. So in other words, if it were a machine who received the signal, who make the judgment whether it's good or bad, then the usual S or mean square error would be sufficient. But that is not the right thing to do, because humans don't respond in terms of quality rating to mean square error. And therefore, it's necessary to take advantage of the human auditory system. And one such characteristic in human auditory system is the auditory masking. And let me explain to you why this leads to advance in the past 15 years or so. Okay. Now, human and auditory masking means that when you are presented with a sound stimuli, and while you're listening to it, your auditory system may not respond to some additional component like noise, if that noise has particular kind of shape of spectrum within particular threshold. So what I show here is a piece of music, the spectrum of a piece of music. And the yellow line means that any noise that has a spectrum below that yellow line, that's called JND, just noticeable distortion. Okay, that noise would not be heard by human, perceptually heard, because of the presence of the music. The reason is that the noise is masked by the music. So what is the implication here in the sense of coding? Well, suppose you want to encode this music, and you just use traditional and simple-minded quantizer and use a certain number of bits. Now, if it's fine enough, then you can say that the noise, the quantization noise, would have a almost flat spectrum. And so, given that number of bits, let's say you generate this quantization noise of that flat line. Okay. Now, since the spectrum here is above the yellow line, it would be noticeable. And here, basically, what I'm showing is that the number of bits required in a naive quantizer, okay, would be the same, okay, as the number of bits you spend with intelligent quantizer using auditory masking. So these two, the yellow line and this flat line, would consume the same number of bits, but the quantizer that achieve this kind of noise spectrum would not be noticeable to human ear, but this one would. Now, if you use naive quantizer, in order for the quantization noise to be perceptually not noticeable, then you would have to spend more bits so that the noise spectrum can be below this line. And so the difference in terms of the gain in coding would be this level, okay, the difference between the two levels. Now, this has, in the past 10 years or so, has been put to good use, and that led to the new audio coding standard, sort of a newer generation beyond what is the most popular today, MP3. And the standard now is called PAC, and in the MPAC term, it's called AAC. Today, we can do the coding quality is considered near CD at 96 kilobits per second. the MOS, the mean opinion score, is above 4 points, and also just about 10% of the time that people think that they can distinguish the coded one from the original one. By the way, 10% is not a whole lot, because even the original, people 5% of the time people think that they can hear difference from the real original. All right, so there's some fluctuation there. Now, the challenge today is the following in coding. Okay, we would like to the coding method to work well for different signals, speech as well as music. As I mentioned, in speech coding, we tend to use what is called the characteristics of the vocal tract. But in music coding, we don't. Here, we are aiming at, we hope that we can create a unified structure so that the coding method works well for both signals. Or better yet, even in speech, in the past, we'd relied on the assumption of speech production quite a bit. And those assumptions would break apart if the signal now contains multiple talkers' speech. So those situations also have to be taken into account, and that's why there's a need to have kind of universal coding algorithm that works well for many different signals. Also, today we want to extend the coding method to include the transmission mechanism, to take into account the transmission mechanism, because today, instead of constant bit rate, we are talking about packet switching, and there's some negotiation with the network traffic. So how do you merge the two, coding of the source and transmission into the network? How do you merge the two together? It's also a challenge. Okay. Now, today, there's a big application in a new and rather big application of speech and music coding beyond the internet distribution, the MP3. And that is the digital sound broadcasting over terrestrial as well as satellite. And these are now under heavy development. Now, in terrestrial case, let me just quickly mention a few points here. The purpose of doing digital audio broadcasting over terrestrial channel is to allow the current broadcasters, your station, your favorite station, FM or AM, to allow them to simultaneously transmit digital signals within their current spectral real estate. Right now, there's some room for doing that. And the purpose is to let people have the ability to receive higher quality music beyond the current analog transmission. For example, in FM case, we hope that through the digital transmission, you will be able to receive music with quality close to CD. In the AM case, we hope that with digital broadcasting, you will be able to receive a program with quality close to FM. So there'll be a sort of a one notch up, okay, in quality improvement. Now, there are also two companies in the States that are doing satellite digital audio broadcasting, and these two companies are called CD Radio and XM respectively. Next year, late next year, if everything goes smoothly, you will be able to subscribe to these satellite digital audio broadcaster services. I was told that it's $10 per month. Okay. Anyway, the purpose of doing that is, okay, apparently, many people would like to, for example, truck drivers, they would like to travel all over the States, tuning into only one particular station, like country music. They don't want, get interrupted and so on. So, so you can have one single program, stay tuned, into that program throughout, from East Coast to West Coast. And I mentioned, okay, let me again tell you the following. In the terrestrial case, here, this is the analog FM, and the spectral real estate that is sort of available to the broadcasters is the two small sideband there. The dotted line is the spectral mask required by FCC. Right now, the spectrum is only this, all right? So there's some space along the two sides. And right now, we are trying to insert digital signals on the two sides to carry the digital music, all right? And of course, in a lot of technical challenges, efficient source coding. The bitrate has to be low so that it can be supported by the bandwidth. And you also have to think about ways to cancel the interference, and all kind of challenges are there, all right?
So do you try to maintain backward compatibility?
Yeah, the analog part should be the same. The idea is the following. Here, with this, what is called IBOC technology, in-band on-channel technology, the broadcasters do not have to apply for new license, okay? Maybe some modification of their broadcasting mode. But the idea is the following. If you look at this chart, all right, this is frequency, and this is location. So you have co-located station. Each block represents one station, okay? If the two stations are co-located, then there will be, their carrier frequency will be set apart by the guard band, okay, 400 kilohertz or so. For station that is not co-located, then you can see some, in between, and the use of in-between spectrum, all right? Now, right now, this is the only the part of the spectrum that is being used for analog transmission. Now, with the IBOC technology, let's say these two stations decide to simulcast the digital signal. Then they will transmit the hybrid digital signal, colored, in red here, along the two-side band, okay? Some station may not choose to do that because they may watch, okay, say, how the market react to digital broadcasting. So the technology will allow the broadcasters to set their migration path and pace. And hopefully, if people enjoy the digital music so much that they would demand more in the future, it will become all digital. When it becomes all digital, there will be additional services, data services, okay? You may get stock quotes. Also, you can get the artist name or even lyrics and so on. I mean, all kinds of things that are possible. Now, let me show you the current focus of technology that we propose to be the next generation standard, okay? The technology we propose is multi-stream coding, all right? Here, instead of, let's say, you have an audio coder and you encode that, into one bit stream. Then one choice, of course, is to do the modulation, put all the bits into these two side bands, all right? But that is not going to be too robust because once you have error, then you will hear some clicks and so on. And I'll show you. Okay, I have some samples to show you. Right. Now the other choice is the multi-stream coding, and the idea here is instead of using all the spectrum together to transmit one stream of audio coding, we reduce the bit rate and make it two streams, two coders, and these represent bits of different significance. Essentially, there are two coders here, all right? Now, the purpose of doing this is that when there are bit errors, then because of the redundancy, hopefully you can recover the quality to a large extent. So now, let's say you have perfect reception. Within this, what is called interference limited contour, you have a perfect reception. You would hear the kind, I hope, okay. So this is perfect reception. Within interference limit contour, the signal to noise ratio is high. So essentially, there is no error. However, if you go beyond the interference limited contour, but within noise limited contour, you expect some error. Now, let's say now you have 10% frame error, okay? So this is the case where you have 10% frame error, and the code, the bit stream is only one single stream, okay? 128. In this case, it's 128. And so you can see that you can hear the degradation of music. But if you do this multi-stream, because of the built-in redundancy, even you have 10% frame erasure or error rate, you can still recover. And in comparison, the analog reception, if the condition is not perfect, this will be the sound quality. Okay, so this is what we expect, high quality reception, all right? Yes?
You mentioned that pack achieves the same quality as the CD encoding at 96 kilobits per second.
Yeah.
What is the rate on the CD?
The CD is about 1.5, 1.4, 1.5 megabits. Okay, and at the 96 kilobits per second stereo, you can achieve near, as I mentioned, close to CD quality. To be exact, 11% of the time people think that they can hear the difference. Okay, when they compare 96 kilobits to original, but when they compare original to original, 5 to 6% of the time people think that they can hear difference. So if you normalize it, the difference is rather small.
And how does it compare to MP3?
Oh, it's MPEG-3 you would need 160, 192 kilobits per second.
For the same quality?
Yeah. All right, synthesis. In view of time, let me quickly go through synthesis. Synthesis, of course, involve text analysis and sound manipulation. Now, text analysis, except the understanding part in terms of the pronunciation and so on, currently, to me, it's not really a major problem because you can always use brute force, okay, expand your dictionary and so on. There might be some research in terms of the efficiency to use morphological unit and so on, but that fundamentally is the efficiency issue, not the accuracy in terms of pronunciation. But what is more interesting, let me go this, okay, is how the technology is used in multilingual applications and also in some particular applications like email reading. Let me just show you the result today, okay.
Hello, this is the Lucent Technologies Bell Labs text-to-speech system. I speak many languages, including...
Están escuchando la voz del sintetizador de español de los laboratorios del
每年1度的阳明山花季又一漫山遍野的展开。
Bienvenue dans le laboratoire de Lucent Technologies Bell Laboratoire.
Guten Tag, Sie hören das deutsche Sprachsynthesesystem, das in den Bell Labs
Questo è un esempio della sintesi da testo della Linux Darwin gospoda. Pratically was the same in laboratory.
Now, I think this is more challenging.
Research.bell-labs.com. Sent Thursday, the 6th of February, 1997 at 12:08 p.m. EST. The subject RWF at research.
Please don't look at the screen. Just try to understand purely from the speech part. That's the main reason, okay, main challenge here, okay?
This is level 1 forward in essence.
My point here is the following. Speech synthesis today, while still research, strong interest in looking at the fundamental modules in speech synthesis systems, additional interest is that, you know, when it's applied to document reading, the fact that the documents today has many different flavor, email, graphics, and so on. The understanding, or some preliminary understanding of the document is the interesting part. Because without that, just like, you know, a plain reading of this, if you just hear it, you know, from telephone, to me, it's still very hard to comprehend. All right. So how do you digest messages like this and report to you as a secretary would tell you? That's the challenge. Okay.
Arrive SFO. Airline.
All right.
1000 10.
Let me stop that. Oop. Somehow. Because we changed the size, I don't know how to. How do you? Yeah. Let me, okay, while he's working on that, let me talk about recognition as the last piece in my presentation. Let's go to, wait, go to 42. Oh, this one. Yeah, this one. Good. Just maybe slideshow.
No, but there should be a button. I can go on this.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. Okay. Let me just go to the slideshow and then we can back up there. Oh, how come it's always go to
No,
the...
it goes there. But there's...
how did you get to the...
Go to view.
Here?
No, view.
Here? View?
View.
Oh, okay.
Slide sorry.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Go page down. That's the problem. Yeah.
Okay. Here. All right.
Can I try something? No, it doesn't. No. Well, I suppose you have to bear with me and can we reduce this? No? Welcome. Reviewing? No? No.
No.
Hello, but you try the left bar, just go to the first page. The first page of the slideshow, first slideshow. Yes, okay. And the left bar. This left bar. Use the left bar. And go.
Oh, yes, go. Yeah.
And by title, okay. Which one? Next one? No, downstairs.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
No, here.
Slide 42. 42.
No, 42, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Let me use the next 5 minutes to talk about the challenges in speech recognition. Now, one easy way to talk about the progress in speech recognition, and I believe a good part of you have done some work in speech recognition. So let's look at the progress. And one good way to do it is to look at the application according to the application complexity. Here, the complexity is plotted according to vocabulary size and speaking style. The larger the vocabulary size, the harder the problem. Also, the more spontaneous the speech you try to recognize is, okay, the harder the problem. And based on these two dimensions, you can just scatter all the applications like directory assistance, form field by voice, name dialing, and so on. Today, we are pretty much sitting on this line, meaning that we actually can do pretty good work in some limited task. And I'll tell you two examples of successful deployment of speech recognition systems. But we are still facing a lot of challenge, in terms of natural conversation transcription of what is called found speech, transcription of conversation. Okay, those things are still beyond the reach of the current technology, and that's why you have the center doing intensive research. Now, the two successful examples that actually have been used intensively are the following. One is called voice recognition call processing. And it's a very simple task. Basically, you call up a 0+ number, and the phone company has installed these machines, and the machine will come up and ask you what kind of call are you making. Is it collect call? Is it a credit card? If it's credit card, what is your credit card number? And the technology now has been successfully deployed for 5 years or 5-6 years. And every year, billions of calls are handled that way. So that, I think, can be considered one successful deployment. Another one is the credit card service. You can call up credit card 24-hour customer service number, get your balance, and do some transaction, and so on. And that's, according to some statistics, that handles millions of calls every month. So again, the population of user is fairly large. Now, this is somewhat different from the desktop applications where people use speech recognition systems for converting speech into text. Now, there, probably in terms of the number of people who have acquired such software, probably is fairly large. But it remains a question in terms of the actual use of the software. Now, you can also look at the DARPA progress, chronologically, and you can see from 98, when DARPA realizes that the hidden markov model technology has some room for actual application, they started this new program and with a task called resource management, and so on. Now you can see that oftentimes after 2-3 years of further research, a task would be considered solved. Again, it's task rather than the general speech recognition problem. And when it's considered solved, usually it means that the error rate has dropped below a few percent. But if you look at this chart, probably you don't see the real meaning here. What is not been told here is that, in fact, while indeed some algorithm improvements are being made, a lot of the advantages, a lot of the improvement actually came from the fact that more data has been collected. And so the real advance actually is a sort of a validation to the idea of data-driven algorithm. But in terms of the fundamental technology, it's still, I think everyone, including myself, is still struggling. And that is most evident when it comes to switchboard data. Those unconstrained, free-flowing kind of speech conversation. And the error rate is still several tens, and like over 30% error rate. And with that kind of error rate, it's really unreasonable to expect real application. Now, the difficulty, of course, in speech recognition is our inability to characterize the variability that is displayed in human speech. There's all kind of variability. Some articulation, some environmental, and so on and so forth. And right now, the biggest challenge is that how we come up with good representation of these variabilities even before we start putting data in order to get the parameter values out. And those representations, particularly structural representations, are still lacking. And one such example is pronunciation. And all right, let me skip this. Okay, let me tell you why this kind of study is important. To learn from data, and to learn from data in order to not only to find a value, but before you find a value, you have to find a structural representation. Here, let me give you one motivation. In terms of pronunciation variation, now there exists the reference dictionary in DARPA community, okay, and it's constructed from the call form and switchboard 3 million words database. The training set with 28,000 distinct words, 3,500 of which have multiple pronunciations. Okay, these are all known. So now you constructed reference dictionary. Now you take an independent test data set, and the test data set that was studied has 47 word tokens with 900 distinct words. Now in terms of pronunciation, 2,100 pronunciations according to the phonetic transcription. Okay? We hire people to transcribe, and there are 2,100 pronunciations. Okay? So it's more than that 900 distinct words. 900 distinct words. If everyone has only single pronunciation, you would have only 900 pronunciation. Even if some of the words have the multiple pronunciation, you would not reach this 2,100 pronunciation. Furthermore, 22 tokens are considered pronounced properly, meaning that the pronunciation is according to the dictionary. So what does it tell us? What it tells us is that even if you have perfect phoneme recognition, okay? Perfect recognition of phoneme is almost an impossible task. Let's say you have that. But your lexical access is such that it's so rigid that anything that is inconsistent with the lexicon, then you don't access the right words. All right? Suppose that's the scenario. What is the error rate here? The error rate would be 2,500 over 4,700. So it's 25 over 47, which is over 50%. So that shows that pronunciation itself poses a big challenge in terms of the word decoding error. Now, all along, for many, many years, people have not looked at the pronunciation as a problem, only in the last 3-4 years. And in the past, many, many assumptions were made, actually, were implicitly made on the uniqueness of lexicon. And those, from the real data, these assumptions are quite often wrong. And so this is one major challenge. How do you find out all the variations at different levels of production? Only until we have good harness and good knowledge of the variation, then we can talk about really the real design of speech recognition system. So let me close my talk by saying, by giving you one, by telling you one application that we are looking at in using all the technologies that I just described. And that is a voice user interface to information services. Again, we have a demonstration that allows people to call, and both using telephone or in open air, open mic situation. You can ask the machine to call some people, or you can ask the machine to to retrieve information for you. Headline news, stock quote, and so on, and voicemail. This is sort of more communication-oriented application, and this is one system that we are building, and we hope that this will become a real useful application beyond just the transcription. Okay, so let me close by saying that. The multimedia technology try to unite many different media, speech, audio, image, video, and it presents a new challenge in signal processing. And the challenge to me has two parts. One is we still need a lot of theoretical framework. And theoretical framework is still very much in need, particularly in speech recognition and understanding. All right? The second one is the system building. Once we have the framework, we need to apply the knowledge into some real system rather than lab system, because lab system to real system is still some distance. And many speech technologies actually could only stay in lab and never really exposed to sunlight because it fails to address the real problem. And that's the challenge also ahead of us. And we hope that through research in multimedia in transduction, recognition, and so on, we can enhance the modality between, in the communication modality between human and machine. And when it comes, I think a lot of the productivity issues will be, resolved. All right. And of course, as you have experienced, in digital radio, hopefully we will also make some impact in the entertainment world. So again, for the pleasure and for work, this represents a good opportunity for research. Thank you. Sorry about all the machine interface. This is a machine interface, not human interface. Yes, question. Yeah.
In your opinion, what do you think about the role of the image will play in the future for the speech process?
Image?
The use of image, yeah.
Image is obviously an important part of the multimodality communication. In terms of human-machine interface, my view is that one of the applications that also we are looking at is the e-commerce. Okay, it allows people to talk to a virtual agent, and there not only speech, but you also have the image and object, okay, and so on. Now, in my view, and this is a very opinionated one, I still think that in terms of interaction, speech and language still is far more important than image. But image and video are very important supplements, because sometimes it's easier to show the real stuff than just to describe it. All right, so it helps a lot if you have the image of some object that you're describing. But you cannot conduct interaction with image or video alone without speech. So that's why I say, speech and language probably is still more important in terms of the interaction, okay, than image and video. But it would be very nice to have image and video alongside with speech and language. By the way, one of the research problems we are doing now is to link the two. Link both the language and image in the following way. When we describe an image or an object, particularly in terms of interaction, we often use language to describe an object. What I mean or what I describe, is that a book, is something. Now, the descriptive language that people use in interaction that refers to an object that has some particular structure. That kind of structure, if we can compile and tabulate and build some system to understand from the linguistic component, okay, from the speech, and relate that to image and so on, that can help people interact. So for example, if you talk to the virtual agent, say, okay, can you give me a wallpaper of a brighter color or with a bolder design? All right. Now, with that kind of query, well, one possibility is for the agent to present, one by one and say, okay, is this the one that you want or not? And that would be very tedious. Hopefully, the virtual agent can take the verbal query, okay, the words in words, and then translate that into some notion in object, particularly in terms of the image primitives, the object and primitives, color, texture, shape, and so on. If there exists such a mapping, then the query, the language query, can be translated in image query, and then a proper outcome would result. That becomes very useful.
It also seems like from what you said, this is from speech to image, but also on for speech processing video, maybe some kind of image understanding of the scene will provide the environment
right.
for speech recognition, so that constrain the search space or whatever.
Right.
So kind of
yes.
speech
Yeah.
processing more robust.
That's a very important point as well. When we do speech recognition and understanding, what the current technology failed to address is the context of communication. Without that, the speech recognition and understanding problem becomes order of magnitude harder than it should be. So if you have camera, if you have image, and if you have also even preliminary understanding based on the image of the general ambient, then the recognition and understanding can become easier. Okay, but of course that would take a few years of research.
Is there any work in this field?
Not really that much that I know of. Yeah. All right.
Fortunately, I have to
Yes.
stop the discussion
Yes.
at this point because after taking away the catch a taxi in the plane, so I have to withstand the speaker again.